You are finally getting married. I'm happy for you.
Thank you, my bestie.
The night before my wedding, my best friend slept in the same room as me. We talked. We laughed. We even cried. She held my hand and said, "You're finally getting your happy ending." I smiled because at that moment, I believed her. If someone had told me that the two people I trusted the most were about to destroy my life, I would have laughed in their face because that's how perfect everything seemed. My name is Aisha, and 2 days ago, I thought I was marrying the love of my life. His name was Daniel. Calm, charming, the kind of man that made people feel safe just by being around him. And then there was her, Zainab, my best friend since university, my sister by choice, the one person who knew everything about me. She wasn't just my best friend, she was my bridesmaid, the one standing closest to me on the happiest day of my life. Or so I thought. "Are you even listening to me?" Zainab said, snapping her fingers lightly in front of my face. I blinked and laughed. "Sorry, I was just thinking." "About him?" she asked with a teasing smile. I nodded. "Always about him." She rolled her eyes playfully. "God, you're so in love, it's actually annoying." I laughed again, throwing a pillow at her. "Wait till you find your own person." She caught the pillow and hugged it. Maybe I already have," she said. I paused. Something about the way she said it felt strange, but I ignored it because Zainab always said things like that. Playful, mysterious, dramatic. "So who is he?" I asked, raising an eyebrow. She smiled, but didn't answer. "See," I laughed, "you're lying." "Maybe," she said softly. Then she stood up and stretched. "Anyway, tomorrow is your big day. You should sleep." I nodded, but sleep didn't come easily that night. Not because I was nervous, but because something felt off. I just couldn't explain it. The next morning, everything moved fast. Makeup artists, family members, phone calls, laughter, noise. My room was filled with people. But somehow, I still felt alone. Zainab stayed close to me the entire time, fixing my dress, adjusting my hair, holding my hand. "You look beautiful," she said, her voice soft. I smiled. "Thank you for everything. I'll always be here for you. Always." That word should have comforted me, but for some reason, it didn't. The truth is, if I go back now, there were signs, small ones, easy to ignore, but they were there. I just didn't see them. Or maybe I chose not to. It started months before the wedding. Daniel loved taking me out. Restaurants, lounges, weekend getaways. But there was one thing that became normal. Zainab was always there. At first, it made sense. "She's like family," Daniel would say. And I agreed, because she was. So when he said, "Let's invite Zainab," I never questioned it. When he picked us both for dinner, I smiled. When we three of us laughed together, I felt lucky. Because not everyone gets to have love and friendship in the same space. Or so I thought. One night, we went to a rooftop restaurant. The city lights were beautiful. The air was calm. The music was soft. I remember excusing myself to take a call. It took longer than expected. And when I came back, they didn't notice me immediately. They were laughing, but not the kind of laugh I was used to. It felt closer, more personal, more private. I stood there for a moment, watching. Zainab touched his arm. Daniel leaned in slightly. And for a second, everything slowed down. Then Zainab looked up and saw me. Her smile dropped just for a second. Then she quickly straightened. "Oh, you're back." Daniel turned immediately. "Aisha, everything okay?" I nodded slowly. "Yeah." I sat down. But something had changed. Something small. Something I couldn't explain. "Are you okay?" Daniel asked me later that night as he drove me home. "Yeah," I said, but my voice didn't sound convincing. He glanced at me briefly. "You've been quiet." "I'm just tired," I replied. He nodded. But I noticed something. He didn't ask again. Days passed, and life continued. Wedding plans, shopping, calls, stress, excitement. But the feeling didn't leave. It stayed. Quiet. Hidden. Growing. One evening, I walked into the living room unexpectedly. Zainab and Daniel were there. Alone. They were sitting close. Too close. And when they saw me, they moved apart too quickly. "Oh, you're back early," Zainab said. I nodded. "What are you guys doing?" "Nothing," Daniel said, too defensively. I forced a smile. "Okay." But inside, something didn't sit right. That night, I asked her, "Zainab?" "Hmm?" She replied, scrolling through her phone. "Are you okay?" She looked up. "Why?" "I don't know. You've been acting a little different." She laughed. "Different how?" "I don't know," I said. "Just like different." She stared at me for a moment, then smiled. "You're overthinking." Maybe I was. Maybe I wasn't. The truth is, I trusted her. Completely. So, even when my instincts whispered, I silenced them. Because doubt doesn't survive in the presence of trust. And I trusted her with everything. My secrets, my happiness, my future, and most importantly, my relationship. The night before the wedding, we sat on the bed again. Just like always, laughing, talking, reminiscing. "You're really doing this," she said. "I know," I replied, smiling. "You're really getting married." I nodded. "To the perfect man," she added. Something about the way she said it made my chest tighten slightly. But I smiled anyway. "Yes," I said. She looked at me, longer than usual, then smiled. But this time, it didn't reach her eyes. And if I had paid attention, if I had listened to that small voice in my head, maybe, just maybe, everything would have been different. But I didn't. Because sometimes the people closest to you are the ones you never expect to hurt you. And sometimes the biggest betrayal doesn't come from strangers. It comes from the people you trust the most. Before we continue, kindly like this video and subscribe to this channel. And if you are coming from TikTok or Facebook, let me know in the comment section.
Now, looking back, the truth didn't start on my wedding night. It didn't even start the day before the wedding. It had been there all along. Quiet, hidden, patient. And the worst part, I saw it. I just didn't want to believe it. Because when the people you love most are involved, your mind protects you. It tells you, you're overthinking. It's nothing. Don't ruin a good thing. So, you ignore it. And I did. Over and over again. A few weeks before the wedding, Daniel suggested we go out. He said, let's do something nice. He said, just relax. You've been stressed. I smiled. I'd love that. Then he added, let's invite Zainab too. Of course, Zainab. I didn't question it. Why would I? She was my best friend. So that evening, the three of us went out. It was supposed to be simple. Dinner, laughter, relaxation. But something about that night stayed with me. We sat at a corner table, dim lights, soft music. Zainab looked beautiful. Too beautiful. Her makeup was perfect. Her dress was not something I had seen her wear before. Wow, I said, smiling. Who are you trying to impress? She laughed lightly. No one. But her eyes quickly glanced at Daniel. And for a split second, he smiled back. It was small, subtle, but it was there. I felt it. A strange discomfort settled in my chest, but I brushed it off. Dinner went well. We laughed, we joked, we talked about the wedding. But there were moments, small moments, that didn't feel right. Moments where I felt like an outsider in my own relationship. At one point, I got up to use the restroom. When I came back, they were leaning toward each other, talking quietly. When they saw me, they straightened immediately. Too fast, too aware. What did I miss? I asked, forcing a smile. Nothing, Zainab said quickly. Daniel nodded. Yeah, nothing important. Nothing. That word again. Always nothing. But nothing started to feel like something. A few days later, it happened again. Daniel picked me up for a drive. Let's go somewhere, he said. I smiled. Where? You'll see. We drove for about 20 minutes. Then he stopped. In front of Zainab's apartment. Oh, I said. We're picking her? Yeah, he replied casually. She said she was bored. I nodded. But something inside me shifted. Slightly. Because I hadn't told him she was bored. I hadn't even spoken to her that day. So how did he know? She came down quickly. Too quickly. Like she had been waiting. She opened the back door, then paused. And instead, sat in the front seat, next to him. I froze for a second. But then smiled. Because, again, why would I make it a big deal? That night, we went to a lounge. Music, lights, energy. At some point, I stepped away again. A phone call. When I returned, they were dancing. Close. Too close. Not inappropriate, but not distant either. Something in between. Something that made my stomach tighten. Zainab saw me first. She stepped back immediately. Hey, she said, smiling. Daniel turned. Oh, you're back. I nodded. Yeah. And that was it. No explanation, no awkwardness. Just normal. Too normal. That night, I couldn't sleep. I stared at the ceiling, my mind replaying everything. The looks, the laughter, the closeness. Am I overthinking? I whispered to myself. The answer came quickly.
Yes, because that's what I wanted to believe. The next morning, I went to see Zainab. She opened the door with a smile. You didn't call. I was nearby, I replied. We sat down. There was a moment of silence. Then I asked, Zainab, can I ask you something? She raised an eyebrow. Of course. Are you okay? She laughed again. You asked me that already. I know, I said. But I mean, is everything okay between you and Daniel? The room went quiet, just for a second. Then she smiled. What do you mean? I don't know, I said quickly. She reached out and held my hand. You're stressed, she said softly. Wedding stress does this. I nodded slowly. Maybe she was right. Maybe I was overthinking. But that night, something happened that I couldn't ignore. I called Daniel. He didn't pick up. Again, and again, and again. Finally, after the fourth call, he answered. Hey, he said. His voice sounded off. Where are you? I asked. Out, he replied. Where? With a friend. What friend? There was a pause. Then he said, just someone. Something inside me dropped. Okay, I said slowly. We hung up. And without thinking, I called Zainab. She didn't pick up. That was the first night I couldn't lie to myself anymore. Because deep down, I knew something wasn't right. But I still didn't have proof. Only feelings. And feelings are easy to dismiss. The day before the wedding came quickly. Everything was busy, chaotic, loud. Family everywhere. Friends everywhere. But even in the middle of everything, I noticed something. Daniel was distant. Not physically, but emotionally, like his mind was somewhere else. Zainab, on the other hand, was unusually calm. Too calm. Like someone who already knew something no one else did. That evening, we had a small pre-wedding gathering. Everyone was there, laughing, celebrating. But I noticed something again. Daniel and Zainab were missing. At the same time, my heart started beating faster. Maybe they are just talking, I told myself. But my legs moved on their own. I stepped outside. The air was cool, quiet. And then I saw them, standing close, too close, talking, low voices. I couldn't hear what they were saying, but I could see it, the tension, the familiarity, the connection. Then suddenly, Zainab reached out and touched his chest, gently, intimately. My breath caught. I froze, because at that moment, everything became real. But before I could move, before I could say anything, they stepped apart, like they felt it, like they knew. Daniel turned first. His eyes met mine, and for the first time, he looked guilty. Zainab followed. Her expression changed instantly, from soft to controlled to calm. Oh, you're here, she said. I nodded slowly. Yeah. Silence. Heavy. Uncomfortable. Dangerous. Everything okay? Daniel asked. I looked at both of them, and for a moment, I almost said it. Almost asked the question that could have changed everything. But I didn't, because I was afraid of the answer. Yeah, I said finally. And that was my mistake. Because sometimes, the moment you should speak is the moment you stay silent. And that silence cost you everything. That night, we all went to bed. Same house, same roof, same lie. And while I was trying to sleep, trusting the two people closest to me, they were somewhere, crossing a line that could never be undone.
Before we continue,
Kindly like this video and subscribe to this channel. And if you are coming from TikTok or Facebook, let me know in the comment section. The night before my wedding, I barely slept. Not because I was excited, not because I was nervous, but because something inside me refused to be quiet. That same feeling again, that same quiet voice that had been whispering for weeks. Something is wrong. I turned on the bed slowly. Zainab was lying beside me, her back facing me. Still, quiet, too quiet. For someone who had been laughing all evening, she fell asleep too fast. Or maybe she wasn't asleep. I stared at her for a few seconds, then turned away because I didn't want to think. I didn't want to doubt. Not now. Not when everything was so close. Not when my entire life was about to begin. Somewhere around midnight, my phone buzzed. I picked it up. A message from Daniel. "Are you awake?" I hesitated, then replied, "Yes." A few seconds later, a number appeared. "I need to step out for a bit. Don't worry." My chest tightened instantly. "Step out?" I whispered to myself. At this time, I sat up slowly. Beside me, Zainab didn't move. I looked at her again, still, silent. Something didn't feel right. I typed, "Where are you going?" He didn't reply immediately. 1 minute, 2 minutes. Then, "Just something quick. I'll explain later." Explain later, that phrase again. The same one people use when they don't want to explain anything. I stared at the message, then slowly got out of bed, careful not to wake her. I walked out into the hallway. The house was quiet, everyone asleep. But something pulled me forward, something I couldn't explain. I walked slowly toward the stairs, then stopped, because I heard something. A door closing, soft, careful. I moved closer, and then I saw him, Daniel, walking out of the house, alone, or so it seemed. My heart started racing. I almost called his name, but something stopped me. Instead, I followed, quietly, carefully, barefoot. The night air was cool, still. He walked quickly toward his car, opened the door, then paused, like he was waiting. My heart dropped, because suddenly I understood. I turned slightly and looked back at the house. The door was still open. And then she stepped out, Zainab. My chest tightened so hard it hurt. She walked toward him, fast, confident, like she had done this before, like this wasn't new. My breath caught in my throat. I couldn't move, couldn't speak, couldn't even think. Because in that moment, everything became clear. But I still didn't want to believe it. She reached him. They didn't speak at first. They just stood there, looking at each other. Then she said something. I couldn't hear it, but I saw his reaction. A small smile, the kind I used to think was only for me. And then he opened the car door for her. She got in, and just like that, they drove away together. My legs felt weak. I stood there for what felt like forever, trying to process what I had just seen, trying to find an explanation, a reasonable one, a harmless one. But nothing made sense. Nothing felt right. They're probably just talking, I whispered to myself. Maybe it's about the wedding. Maybe it's something important. Maybe. But deep down, I knew. I knew something had crossed a line. I just didn't know how far yet. I went back inside slowly, closed the door, walked back to the room. Zainab's side of the bed was empty, cold. I sat down, my hands shaking slightly, my mind racing. I didn't sleep again that night, not even for a second. By morning, everything looked normal again. Too normal. Zainab was back in the room, dressed, smiling, "Good morning, bride," she said cheerfully. Like nothing had happened, like she hadn't left the house in the middle of the night, like I hadn't seen her, like everything was fine. And somehow, I played along. "Good morning," I replied, because I didn't know what else to do. Because I didn't have proof. Because I was afraid of the truth. The wedding day moved quickly. Makeup, hair, dress. Everyone kept saying the same thing. "You look beautiful. You are glowing. This is your day." My day, but it didn't feel like mine anymore. It felt like I was watching everything from the outside, like I was playing a role, a bride, a happy bride, standing in a perfect moment built on something broken. The reception was loud, joyful, beautiful. Everyone was happy, except me. Because deep down, I knew something was wrong. I just didn't know how bad it was yet. That night, everything changed. But I didn't know it yet, because the biggest betrayal was waiting for me. Hidden, silent, on his phone. That night, I became a wife. But I didn't feel like one. The room was quiet, soft lights, fresh flowers, the kind of setup people dream about. Our wedding night. Daniel walked in behind me, closed the door gently. "You okay?" he asked. I nodded. "Yeah, just tired." That wasn't a lie, but it wasn't the truth either, because exhaustion wasn't the problem. It was everything I had seen, everything I had felt, everything I had chosen to ignore. He stepped closer, wrapped his arms around me from behind. "We made it," he whispered. I forced a small smile. "Yeah, we did." But deep down, I wasn't sure what we had made it to. A few minutes later, he stepped into the bathroom. "I'll be quick," he said. I nodded. The sound of running water filled the room, and for the first time that day, I was alone. Truly alone. I sat on the bed, my mind racing. Everything from the past few weeks flashing through my head. The looks, the late calls, the silence, the night before, the car, Zainab. My chest tightened. "No," I whispered to myself. "Don't do this. Don't ruin your own night." But something inside me refused to stay quiet. My eyes drifted to his phone, lying on the bedside table, face down. I stared at it for a long moment. My heart started beating faster. "Don't touch it. Trust him. Trust her." But then, another voice spoke. "Find out the truth." My hands moved before I could stop myself. I picked up the phone. My fingers trembled slightly. I hesitated, then unlocked it. I didn't even know what I was looking for. Messages, calls, anything. But something pulled me towards his gallery. I opened it. At first, nothing unusual. Wedding pictures, family, friends, smiling faces, happy moments. A perfect day. Then I saw it. A video. No name, no thumbnail. Just a blank preview. Recently recorded. My heart dropped instantly. My thumb hovered over it. "Don't," I whispered. But I already knew I would. I tapped it. And everything collapsed. The video started. At first, it was dark, shaky. Then, the image cleared, and I saw him, Daniel, my husband. My breath caught in my throat. Then, I saw her, Zainab, my best friend, my bridesmaid, my sister. The phone slipped slightly in my hand, but I didn't stop watching. I couldn't, because I needed to be sure. needed to know that what I was seeing was real. But it was. It was real. They were together, close, too close, laughing, talking, comfortable, like this wasn't the first time, like this wasn't a mistake, like this was normal. My chest tightened so hard it hurt. Then I heard it. His voice. Make sure she never finds out. Everything went silent. My ears rang. My vision blurred. Because that one sentence told me everything I needed to know. This wasn't new. This wasn't a one-time thing. This wasn't an accident. This was a secret. A long one. And I was the only one who didn't know. The bathroom door opened. I didn't turn. I couldn't, because my entire body had gone numb. Aisha, he said softly. I still didn't move. Aisha! He stepped closer. Then he saw it. The phone. The video. My face. Everything. And in that moment, his expression changed completely. From calm to fear to panic. Aisha, I can explain. Explain what? I whispered. My voice finally didn't sound like mine. It sounded broken. Empty. He froze. Explain what, Daniel? I repeated. My eyes finally met his. And for the first time, I didn't see love. I saw guilt. He started. But the words didn't come, because there was nothing to explain. The truth was already there. Clear. Undeniable. How long? I asked. Silence. How long? I repeated louder this time. He looked away. And that was my answer. Tears filled my eyes. Was it just yesterday? I asked. He didn't reply. Or has this been happening the entire time? I shouted. Aisha, please, answer me. My voice echoed through the room. And finally, he spoke. It's been a while. My heart shattered. A while. Not a mistake. Not a moment. A while. I laughed, but there was no humor in it. Wow, I whispered. Wow. I shook my head slowly. My best friend. My husband. On my wedding night. I looked at him. You both really planned this perfectly. It's not like that. Don't, I snapped. Don't insult me by lying again. He stepped closer. I was going to end it. When? I asked. After the wedding. I stared at him, in disbelief. So, your plan was to marry me while sleeping with her? He didn't answer, because there was no good answer. I grabbed my phone, dialed her number. It rang, once, twice. Then she picked up. Hey, bride, she said cheerfully. The sound of her voice made my stomach turn. Come to my room, I said calmly. Aisha, it's late. Now. Silence. Then, okay. A few minutes later, there was a knock on the door. I opened it, and there she was, smiling, until she saw my face, until she saw the phone, until she saw him. And just like that, her smile disappeared. What happened? She asked softly. I didn't respond. I just played the video, right in front of her. She froze. Her entire body went still. The room filled with silence. Heavy. Deadly. Then she whispered, You weren't supposed to see that. That sentence broke something inside me completely. Not, I'm sorry. Not regret. Just, you weren't supposed to know. I laughed again. You are right, I said. I wasn't. But I did. Tears streamed down my face. And now I see everything. I looked at both of them, the two people I trusted most, standing there, exposed, guilty, silent. I don't even know which one of you betrayed me more, I said quietly. Neither of them spoke, because there was nothing left to say. I took off my wedding ring slowly, looked at it, then placed it on the table. I just got married a few hours ago, and it's already over. Daniel stepped forward. Aisha, please. No, I said firmly. Don't come closer. He stopped, because this time, he knew there was no fixing this. I looked at Zainab one last time. My best friend, I said. She lowered her eyes. You didn't just betray me. You destroyed me. Tears fell from her eyes. But it didn't matter, because some apologies come too late. I walked past them, out of the room, out of the marriage, out of the lie. And as I stepped into the hallway, I realized something. The wedding didn't end my story. It exposed it. Because sometimes, the biggest betrayals don't happen before the wedding. They happen right after. And sometimes, the people standing closest to you on your happiest day are the same ones who break you the hardest.
Thanks for watching. Be honest, will you blame Aisha for ignoring the signs or Daniel and Zainab for betraying her trust? Thank you so much for watching and supporting this story. If you enjoyed it, you can join my membership for exclusive content and early access, or support with super thanks. Your support truly helps me create more stories like this.